This is 5 Minute Feng Shui, episode 63, The Less is More New Year. Welcome to the 5 Minute Feng Shui podcast, where each week I talk about how to move energy and make money. You'll learn how to create a prosperous home and an abundant life using classical Chinese Feng Shui. I'm your host, Katie Weber, publisher of the Red Lotus Letter, Feng Shui Easing for Wealth. Each week, I'll cover Feng Shui topics that can help you improve your life, share inspiring stories, and always end with 3 easy-to-implement Feng Shui tips that you can put to work right away, and usually in about 5 minutes. Now let's get started on the 5 minutes that could change your life. Well, hello, my friend, and Happy New Year to you. I hope you have had an absolutely wonderful holiday season this year and enjoyed spending time with your family, your friends, just relaxing and truly enjoying the holidays. The time to slow down, to socialize, get together more, and do all the things that we do at the end of the year when the holidays come together and we all join one another, that enables us to slow down, kind of think about our lives, think about the year that's closing out, or thinking about the year that's coming or that we're now in. And it's a wonderful time of year. I really like it because of its reflective quality. How you look back at your life over the year and what you want to see ahead in the new year. I don't know if you're making plans or not, but I always find that this is a really exciting time for me because I like to lay out my year like a map. I don't just wait for it and just see what happens. I like to lay it out like a map because I like to plan things. I like to plan. I always say I believe that success is planned, and I plan on it. And but this is also a time when people make a lot of resolutions, and that's really what we're talking about today, and that is having a happy new yin year. Now, what I mean by that is those resolutions. Here we are. We're getting to the end. We're at the end of this. We're over. 2019 is done. We're in 2020. We're in a whole new decade. We're at a new calendar, a new birthday, a new anniversary, and just a new year may be overwhelming for some folks. To others, it's a clean slate, a chance to start over fresh. And yet to others, it's a mix of the two, right? But regardless of where your leanings fall, one thing is for sure, and that is you can do more by doing less. Now I'm gonna explain this. Because I know people are like, really, tell me how I can be on the beach and get my house clean. Well, in other words, I'm a big believer that more yin energy, it means where you're working less, actually helps you have more yang energy, where you're actually working more. More yang does not create more yang energy. It creates less energy or more yin. I know we're going back and forth and you're probably going, okay, my head's spinning now, Katie, you can stop. But let's just suffice it to say that it's that old saw that less is more, and conversely, more is less. Do you ever find like sometimes the more you do, it seems like the less you have? The more you work, the harder you work, the less time you have, the less sanity you have. I think for a lot of us, we're living a more is less life. Now, that may sound too zen and too esoteric, but I promise you it's not, and I'm going to explain. So just bear with me, hang in there, because I'm gonna cover what that means exactly. I want you to understand what I'm talking about, because I really want you to get to the end of next year and go, wow, did I do a lot, but wow, did I have an awesome year. I got to do things that I wanted to do, not just that I had to do. That's really, to me, that's the picture of result. Or of success for a year. So too often, though, we're busy just spinning our respective hamster wheels that, like clutter, we become immune to it. and we don't notice how constantly on we are. Now, my husband Tim, now he used to be like this, and he's willing to put himself out as an example, but he's really changed. I've got him over to the yin side with me, and I'm not tattling on him because he gave me permission to use him as my example, and I really appreciate his willingness to do that, because I think it's a good illustration of how we can get so caught up. So like his natural posture is with his head bent down, scanning for emails, Facebook comments, that kind of thing, and that's pretty much all the time. Now me, not so much. I set distinct times when I answer emails, just like I set distinct times for work, getting dressed, making dinner, or reading the paper in the morning. Yes, I know I am a dinosaur. We subscribe to the Wall Street Journal. It's delivered every day, and it's not a day unless I've read that and I've had 2 cups of coffee. So that's my day. But I also know where the off switch is on all my electronics and the mute button. So if I were constantly tethered to my phone, having to monitor it minute by minute, comment by comment, I'd go out of my mind. Plus, I'd never get anything done except in these little teeny tiny microbites. Yet I see it going on all the time. Parents complain about their kids being on video games, yet they'll sit at the same restaurant table across from those kids, and they'll be pinned down by their iPhone with their heads bent in their zombie-like electronic compliance, and the whole table. The parents are just as guilty. It's not just the kids, the parents. Nobody's talking. Everybody's just looking at their phones. Whole tables of diners and restaurants sit in this mute congregation, unsociably socializing. Or during the holidays or during personal conversation, someone's phone might be constantly dinging and pinging. It's really annoying. We're on an electronic leash, that electronic tether that we willingly hook ourselves up to. Now, this isn't just going to be a rant about electronics, but it's a really important one because they steal our life and our time away, and we have to be the ones who control them. We have to set up electronic boundaries. So when you wonder where your year went and why you didn't get all those things done you thought you were going to, or how your relationship is dim, well, you have to ask if you're just so conditioned to those electronics and busyness, which isn't productive, or always being on, that your time gets stolen from you, ping by ping, text by text, byte by byte, just right out from under us. But electronics really aren't our only energy thieves. Sometimes we steal from ourselves, like we overdo things, we double our efforts, we don't take time off for ourselves. We don't set limits and boundaries of time. If I didn't set boundaries on time, I would be forever answering every feng shui question that came in from every corner of the globe, and I would never have that time to sit and read my daily paper that helps me when I do get to the desk. I can answer as many questions as I can. Not always answering every one of them because it's just not possible. Because I get people pinging me from Facebook and Instagram and my email. They're coming in every direction that I absolutely have got to build walls and moats around those walls so that I still have time for me. And these are ways that we have to think about how can we be more productive in our life. And it's like, well, where do we need to put up those boundaries? So let's talk about some boundaries. Let's talk about how you can introduce more yin energy so that when you are at work, when you are answering emails, when you are on Facebook, you're fully present and you're really doing you're adding to it, not just passing on and sharing stuff, but really adding to the conversation that you're having. So let's talk about a couple of those ways. One is we always want to value darkness. I mean, that's the ultimate yin, is darkness. That is the definition of yin. And today's world is so full of electronics that emit light. And at night, those little bitty teeny diodes can pierce the darkness like a lighted needle, preventing you from sleeping well. It's true. I remember being, I guess it was about 50 feet away from my bedroom to the kitchen. And from where I had this in this particular house, and where I slept, I could see the light of the microwave, and it was from that 50 feet away it annoyed me. It bothered me. I could sense it. Well, obviously I could shut the door, and that's what I ended up doing. But this is my point. Whether you have but if you've got it in your bedroom, you've got little lights and diodes. One of the things that I do is I buy those they're translucent plastic folders that you can get at any office supply store, and they're like dark green or purple or blue, and I tape over diodes, so at night it diffuses them, and they just become a really, really low glow, because it's amazing how much your sleep is disturbed. And I really want to encourage you to think about adding those blackout curtains, those total blackout curtains, or even putting the type of curtain that you can put behind a curtain to draw it close, or putting on blinds, or anything that will get your bedroom in total darkness. More sleep and more darkness means you have more energy in the day, and you'll sleep better. And I swear it makes all the difference. That's why when you go to a hotel, you go, why do I sleep so great at a hotel and so terrible at home? Well, the hotels have those blackout curtains. So you want to make sure that you have really good dark sleeping environment so that you have more energy in the day. The other thing is to set time limitations. Everyone has to set boundaries on their time and energy, right? And women famously give your time and energy away. We famously do that. It's true. And if you are giving your energy away, like always being on, always being available, always texting, emailing, Facebooking, tweeting, just stop and set up calling, emailing, and social media times. Now, this is really important if you are in business for yourself, and to set those times. This is when I answer phones. This is when I answer emails. I'm not constantly checking. Then you can't be spending time doing productive things like write a book, or do whatever, or relax and read a book. You want to make sure that those time limitations are there, so you can have a chunk of time that you can devote to doing something you want to do. So shut that pinging off of your phone, or pinging on your emails. I know some people that have that constant dinging, like bing, when the email comes in. And I'd say shut off those notifications and just make it, hey, I check my emails at 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. or whatever time works for you. But set those time limitations so that when you're not doing that and constantly checking and being, answering to some sort of sound or bing or dong, that you can actually do something that you want to do, and whether that's and in business. For me, I have so much content that I am always putting out, that if I didn't do that, I couldn't write a weekly newsletter, a weekly news column, a weekly podcast, have clients, and make dinner and drink coffee and read the paper in the morning. That just wouldn't happen. So really important to set those time limitations on. Now, one of the things that you can do is put your phone, if you have an iPhone, is you can swipe up and put it on Do Not Disturb with that little half moon. Now, if there's an emergency call like your mom, it'll come through. So you don't have to worry that you're going to miss any emergency calls. But that's one way. If you need to get something done, you can put it on Do Not Disturb. The other thing you can do is take the dings and the dongs off of your email notifications so that you're not constantly interrupted by those sounds and buzzes, because it is distracting. And we definitely need to increase our focus, which brings us to the next point. Too much of our energy is wasted and scattered, and studies have shown that it takes up to 500% more energy to continually start working over when you're interrupted. So when you stop those interruptions, like the email dings and dongs, you'll get more done. So when you're Facebooking while you're working on a presentation, for example, this weakens your concentration and actually lengthens the time that you spend on the work at hand. So when you can eliminate those distractions, you increase your focus and you get more done. So this is all about less creating more, right? This is so important, this concept, because I think a lot of people, when they get to the new year, they go, I wish I had done this and that and the other. And I bet you've done a whole lot more last year than you thought you did. I really am a big believer in writing down the to-done list rather than the to-do list. I like to go at the end of the day and say, this is all that I've done, and I write a line through it, and it really shows me how much I actually did versus that to-do list. I think it's just a shift in perspective, but it's amazing how it shifts your mind, your thinking, and your actions. Now, speaking of actions, let's talk about how you can get more done by doing less. And one of the ways that you do that is by batching your effort. So when you have small things to do, you do them together. It's just like when you're running errands. You run all your errands on one side of the street and then run your errands on the other side of the street. Or you run them all at once. You go out, instead of making 5 different trips to do 5 different errands, you try to do all your errands in one go. It's more effective. It's more efficient. I think Ford showed us. They started the Model T on a production assembly line, and that's all somebody did was put on tires all day long. And everything was a batch. So when you put similar activities together and do them together, you actually maximize the result and the benefit. You will have a greater output. So for instance, rather than being on all the time, like I mentioned earlier about answering emails, just answer them once or twice a day and only answer at those times. When you do a series of efforts, it means that you get more done in less time. And so it's a really great way to do things. That's often how I work on my newspaper column. That's how I write, how I do my podcast. I try to have production days where I do one after another, and then they're all done, and then they can be all set up, ready to fire and queue up. And so they're out there every Wednesday, rain or shine. And my newspaper column is out there every Tuesday, rain or shine. It's because I try to do them all at once for a month. There's some things that I actually do for a year in advance, and it really makes a big difference in terms of giving me free time so I can take 2, 3, 4 vacations a year, which I work hard. And that's what you're trying to do, is get the payoff, right? We're trying to get the payoff of more time to do what we want to do, as well as being more effective at what we're doing. So I'm really wanting to see you or to help you with your time management and how you can have more time for yourself. This whole idea of this podcast came about because I felt like my time was just it was sand through the hourglass. It was just it was a leaking bucket of time. I never had time to myself, and then once I got where I just absolutely stopped monitoring emails except for 2 times a day. I answer them in the morning. I look at them in the afternoon. That's it. That's done. And then I work the rest of the time. I'm able to get stuff done. I don't work after 5 p.m. I don't work on weekends. I'm not on email night and day. And that gives me a life that lets me live the way I want to live. So these are ways that I've come up with that help me do more and do it more efficiently and effectively, and so that I can have time to take off and be with my family when I want to and never have to think twice about it. Now, another thing that we have to watch is frittering. So whether it's your money or your time, it's not about a fried donut. Apple fritter, some of my favorite donut. Oh boy, I love an apple fritter. But one of the worst fritterers that I used to know is my own husband, and he has really changed and come around to being more batch focused, and I get more of him. One of my complaints with him was he was always on, and one of his complaints with him, he was always on. And I said, well, why don't you just stop answering your emails except for twice a day, unless you've got like a project that you know is coming through and you've got to really watch the email. That's different. Absolutely different. I mean, he was always, we'd sit down to watch TV as a family or play a game or something, and next thing I know, he's getting up to, go take a shower, or he's going to go answer this email, or he's going to check this phone call, or whatever he was doing. And he would leave his office computer on, so then he'd have to go back and turn it off. And it's really about the habits that you build for yourself. And if you can build those good habits, they'll give you more freedom. So one of the things that I was always saying was, you have to run upstairs to his office. I could see the light glowing in his office because he left his computer on. And I'm like, when you leave for the day, shut it all down. Turn it off. There's a real power in the ability to understand the off button. There are actually times when it just needs flat to go off, and you need to be unreachable, and you need to be off the hook and not answering emails or not jumping up and down. And because so often when we let our time get bled away by answering and being on all the time, we feel like we can't relax. We feel like we can't really rest. We feel like our time is not our own. So, when you find that you're tweeting or texting or email and it's hard to get your work done, start doing that at certain times. Assign times to do it, and it'll make a big difference in terms of how you find yourself having more productive time. Just work on that awareness of your time and energy so that you'll have more of both. It goes a long way toward creating more quality of life. And this is a resolution worth making in the new year. All right. Well, we are at the end of today's podcast, but I have my 3 tips for you, and I even have a bonus New Year tip for you. Tip number 1 for making more and getting more done in the new year: get good rest. Go to bed at a regular time. Make sure your bedroom is good and dark. The more rest you get, the better you can feel the next day, the better and more productive you are in your day, and the more you can get done. More yin equals more yang. More yin at night, more yang in the day. Tip number 2, schedule. Follow a schedule for answering emails, doing social media, and running your life. Following a schedule means that you know what you're going to do when, rather than always being on. And that means that you can schedule time to relax, go to the gym, read a book, take a vacation, whatever that may be. Scheduling doesn't mean that you are a really uptight person. It just means that you're a busy person and you've got things to get done. But some on that list is things to get done for yourself, like having time to read a book, go see a movie, sit at the lake, have a picnic on the weekend, whatever that is. Making a schedule makes a big difference in keeping up boundaries and creating a life for yourself. And that's what we want, is more life in our year, in our day. Number 3 is batch your work. Try to do 3 of the same things at a time. So even if that means like cooking on a Sunday, and you cook like, say, 3 meals that you can stretch. I think that there's some cooking shows where it's like cook once and you've got 7 weeks of meals, or 7 days of meals. Anyhow, and I think it's a really great idea because it enables you to cook once and eat all week long. So batching is a great way to maximize your energy, maximize what you're doing, and be able to have more free time to do what you want. And then my bonus tip is to plan. Planning is so critical. I like planning more than I like resolutions. I don't like resolutions at all. In fact, I detest them. I don't make them. I also don't eat black eyed peas, which if you're a Southerner, you know that is a big no-no for the new year. But I was a big believer that I had eaten black eyed peas all my life, and life had not, been a very easy childhood growing up. And I went, you know what? There was always those black eyed peas, so I'm going to get rid of those black eyed peas. It's one of those things that if something's not working, well, then get rid of it and do something new. So that's what we do. So instead of having black eyed peas, I start every new year with a sweet start I make my homemade baklava. If you ask me for it, I'll send you a recipe. Anyhow, let's talk about this tip, planning. Planning what you're going to do when. Really important to help you achieve goals, help you achieve what you want in your life. And this is more important than a resolution. I believe that going for what you want is so much more important than going for what you don't want. A lot of times resolutions are about what we don't want: weight, excess weight, difficult relationships, flabby thighs, whatever it is. I'm more about planning to get what you want. So plan out some of the things that you'd like to have and some of the things that you're going to do, like vacations. That's one of the funnest things to do during the year, is to plan a vacation. So plan things out, say where you'd like to go, what you'd like to do, and even if you think it's a stretch, it's amazing when you write it out and you plan it, how things happen and how it works, how the universe works for you to conspire to make maybe those plane tickets to Tahiti come on sale and you just happen to be there, but because you planned on them, you're thinking about it. Your mind is seeing things that it might not have seen if you hadn't written it down and planned on it. All right, there you go. Listen, I'd love to tell you more about 2020 and the year of the rat and all the amazing things that are coming this year, like travel energy. There's fabulous travel energy, especially for women this year. I really love it. And also for young women as well. There's a lot of fabulous energy that we have coming this year. And in fact, at the end of January is January 25th is Chinese New Year, and we are officially into the Year of the Rat. I'd love for you to check out my 2020 Year of the Rat Feng Shui Forecast Success Pack. It's absolutely a chock full of information of how you can make the most of the year ahead. I hope you'll check it out. Just go to redlotusletter.com/rat to get all the details about the year and to find out about my forecast. All right, Happy New Year and have a wonderful, and I wish you a blessed and prosperous, healthy, happy 2020. Thanks for listening to 5-Minute Feng Shui today. The Year of the Rat is coming, and I want to share with you where you can find money, love, and opportunity in 2020. And it's all in my annual Feng Shui Forecast, the Success Pack. You get a full year of in-depth Feng Shui details about how to use the energy of the year for success and prosperity. That's because every year we're showered with a Roman candle of opportunities for money, abundance, love, and opportunity. You just have to know where they are. And my Year of the Rat Feng Shui Success Pack includes all the details for every house and every zodiac sign. You'll also get this year's lucky clothing, handbag, and wallet colors. So be sure to go to redlotusletter.com/rat for all the details on the Year of the Rat and how to make this year the year of your dreams.